Rajiv Bajaj sending you a letter and ICICI chairman sending you a letter. How does this connection happen,
Designers are not normal people. I believe that. Designers cannot be normal people.
So what is that one domain that students can focus on solving problems and they can build a career out of it?
The prime objective of the college, design college, is to make students curious.
Yeah.
In 4 years, you have to give them an injection which will be in their body for next 70 years. Very good question. Lovely question. Thursday, factory is closed and there is a very young boy in shorts and t-shirt. So, Sudhir. So, yes, I am Mr. Bajaj. So what? In next 1 year, it became the hottest, the most grossing cafe of Nepal. If you are driven, if you have an objective and if you have a purpose in front, you will not get burnt out.
What is that one thing that design colleges lack nowadays? And if that one thing is there, the students can be a better designer for 10 years forward.
So see, I see design schools as the places which transform very normal people into superhuman beings. Well, designers are not normal people. I believe that. Designers cannot be normal people. We are special. We are different. I'll tell you how we are different. But how do we become that different or special people is the job of the design school. Design education is a big business also. But it is also a big responsibility. And many schools are doing it very well. Many schools are not doing it very well. Many schools believe that because we can give you the facilities, AC lagaya hai, bada room diya hai, and we can get rock star designers to talk to students, our job is done. Many design schools go beyond that. They take their students to exposures, they get special teachers to come to talk to them, they make them do different things. I believe that a good design school should probably be a combination of all this. You have to expose your students to what is best out there, but you also have to give them tools to be able to learn in any environment, to be curious for life. So it is like you have only 4 years with them, right?
Yeah.
In 4 years, you have to give them an injection which will be in their body for next 70 years. And for next 70 years, they should be designers. And by definition, a designer means you're forever learning. Anything you look at that, I was telling you, you're forever observing, you're forever looking at things. And that's how we are different. I told you, we have this superpower, we are not normal. As designers, we observe. We observe way beyond a normal person observes. Now, what do we do with that observation is also very important. We are not just observing so that I'll go back in the night to my wife and I'll say, I saw so and so, and I can gossip. And that whole observation is waste. Or I can make it a part of my next project. I'm doing a trend report on fashion with young people in South India. It could be a part of that. The prime objective of the college, design college, is to make students curious. That when they look at something, they're not just looking at surface. They go way behind it. Designers are the people who get interested in useless things, but they get so interested that they go and actually study those things. And they study so much that they can go ahead and do something about those things. Right?
Yeah.
That's the job of a design school. Not many design schools are doing that. Making students curious.
Curious. Okay. I also want to introduce that he is the founder of Indi Design, Design India, Design Pool. Design Pool was one of the magazines which inspired me to choose design. So I never told you this, but take this as a compliment that I became a designer because of Design Pool. Because wow. I used to buy all those magazines and read the designers' articles and really get inspired about it. And they have something called India's Best Design Awards for students. India's Best Student Award, right? India's Best Design Student Award. IBDS. And so you must be seeing like thousands of portfolios and thousands of works, right? So what sets some designers' work apart, saying that this guy will make it in life? So what is that one thing?
So here again, let me tell you what is the difference between a professional designer's work and a student designer's work. Professional designer's work is in the past. He's done the work, he's done the project, product is out. You can look at the product and you can make a judgment about how that product will be useful because you sort of see this in the environment. But when you're judging a student's work, you're not actually judging the work. You're judging the learning of the student. It's a speculation. You're speculating that the student in 4, 5, 10 years time will get properly prepared as a designer. It takes that much time to become a designer. So you're not awarding the student for what he is today. You are awarding him what he is going to be tomorrow or what she is going to be tomorrow. How do you judge that? That judgment comes on what is the emphasis you have put in your projects on the process, learning of the process. Like I was explaining earlier as well, I feel when you are a student, the focus has to be on the process of the design, not really the design itself. The outcome is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. In fact, outcome can be useless, right? You can do the same project again and again and again and come with different outcomes. And every time you can learn something new. So learning is the process, outcome is not relevant. But when you become a professional, it's the outcome which is more important than the process. Nobody cares about the process. The process gets internalized when you're a student. Because you're doing the process so much, it gets internalized. Then later, you don't really have to do it on the paper. You do it in your mind. You're looking at this thing and done, and just sketch it out and done. But you've gone through that whole process, which when you're a student probably takes 2 months. When you're a professional, it takes 2 minutes in your head, right? But you would not be able to do that outcome unless you've gone through this process. This is what design schools do. During our awards, we try and judge the process. If the student has followed a process or he spent too much time on the rendering or final photography or something, if it is too much time on the final product, then probably the process was not very rigorous. But most of the times, a good design will not be inspired by anything. It will be inspired by the process. Process is the largest inspiration.
Okay. So when it comes to this students' process over outcome, you keep traveling to a lot of countries, and even in this previous session, you spoke about the amount of designers that China is pumping out. Have you seen any case of Chinese design schools? What kind of emphasis they give on the process and how the students of China behave? Because we need to benchmark. Our students should benchmark not with another Indian college. I don't compare DOT with any other Indian college. Let's focus on comparing us with something abroad. Like let's take China for example.
So the design universities which I have seen are probably the best in China. So I'm sure in China also there are all kinds of design schools. Hong Kong, China, Japan, Vietnam. My observation there is the level of skills is very high. Not normal. I mean, if we have even hand skills, not just the computer skills, the hand skills are out of this world. And they're not born with it. It comes with the hard work. So what I find is students are extremely hardworking. Extremely hardworking. You will not find any distractions with those students. You know, the amount of sketches they churn out, amount of, like, I've seen that, like, you know, people just sit and do that and it's wonderful. Which is, I'm not saying that necessarily will make a better designer, but the level of skills is out of this world. It's not normal. And that comes from culture, the culture of hard work. Vietnamese culture, super hardworking culture. I mean, students come to the class till they leave the college. There's no, noise levels are different. That you don't have noise levels same as our colleges. We are very different culturally. We are very different. There are no discussions on food. There are no discussions. There are no distractions. What I find is, I find them very hardworking. So China has, I was saying, 60 districts. Each district has a university. Each university has, I don't know how many colleges. But overall, each district has a university which has, I've attended batches of 10,000 people. in a stadium like that.
One batch of 10,000.
10,000 students.
Design students.
Design students. Right? And it's like a stadium and no noise. It's culturally very, very different than...
They just don't talk, is it?
They don't talk.
No, we just talk.
We talk. In fact, we talk so much that we think many times you don't need to do. You can just talk.
Yeah. Nice. So, when it comes to portfolio, 3 green flags when you see a portfolio. One is, yes, process. What are the other 2 if you have anything?
So, I feel for a young design student into a design job, the entry skills, people will judge your skills. You can't go and say, my skills are bad, but I'm very good in thinking. Nobody will trust that. I hear that very often. A lot of kids come and say, I'm very good in design thinking, but my skills are bad. Then say, okay, you should come and your skills are as good as your design thinking. So skills have to be very good. But at the same time, the thinking has to be very good also. Many times I find if the student's skills are good, they're very well presented. But the logic is not presented. The thinking is not presented as well. So the skills have to be used to present the thinking also. What is the logic? Like apparel, if it's a uniform or some fashion piece has been done, I would want to see an infographic with some sketches saying what material, what this, what construction, which craft, how much time to make. Something which uses the skills of a designer, which is sketching, uses your knowledge of a fashion designer, but presents the thinking behind that in a way. I would love to see that.
How important is that soft skill, like, storytelling, communicating your idea just by vocally? And how important is that when you give a score of, say, for example, thinking, skill and soft skill? And so what is the weightage that you will give for the 3 of them?
Like, if I'm hungry and I don't tell you I'm hungry, I just expect you to look at my face and understand I'm hungry and give me food. It's very rare that I'll get food. Right? I have to say I'm hungry. I have to be able to articulate my design very, very well. So articulation has to be as good as design, otherwise it's useless. I think if we sit and wait and we feel that we will get discovered, that is not true. It doesn't happen. There are just too many of us around in the world, right? Articulation is not a function of talking. It's a function of your knowledge. If you have the knowledge, it will come out. You cannot stop it. My problem is that...
No, we see in some students, there is work, there is content, but then they shy away from talking. They
don't shy away. They don't present it well because they don't know what they are doing, right? I think the moment you read a lot, if you read a lot about one subject, that you will come out with, you will know a lot. You will have a lot of confidence in yourself. The moment you have the knowledge, you will get the confidence. You will say the right words.
You have been a publisher, entrepreneur, and designer, architect, strategist. Yes, you earned a lot of money. Okay, you actually good at earning money. Let's see. Let's take a 21-year-old. What are the things that he should do in another 10 years to actually financially go well? I mean, yes, society, he has to solve problems for the society, but to financially do well, which domain or which problem he should focus on?
See, I feel financially do well has different meaning for different people. Sometimes the economics is a driver for you, that I want to make money. I want to make money, right? Or sometimes the money is only a feel-good factor. That I need to make money, but it's okay. But I need to do something which I want to do, right? I think when you're very young, focus on developing yours, I think sixth, seventh, eighth sense of looking into the future. That I'm doing this, how will this do well in the market? Whether I'm doing it for myself or for somebody, what should I do that it lands up doing good for somebody else? And how do I then articulate it better for the larger masses? So that is very important because you have to build a portfolio. Portfolio is always built into the future, never in the past. I have to be able to identify that.
Sorry, can you explain? Portfolio is built into the future,
never in the past.
It means your past work is not there. What does it mean?
The work you've done already. Whether it is good, bad, ugly, did well, didn't do well, it's not in your hand, right? You're not building a portfolio, it is documentation. The portfolio is always built into the future, that I want to be known as one of the best designers of this kind in India. So I have to look for that kind of projects.
Your point was portfolio is not about the past works, but then the hypothetical ones which you are going to build in the future.
Yes.
And that makes, not only showcase the portfolio, but also you will be flooded with project opportunities, and people will start looking at your work, and then you don't need to go and chase people for job or anything. You will automatically start getting it.
I've never had to look for a project. I always make my own projects.
No, right now that's the mindset, everyone expects somebody to do the placement, somebody to get the company, somebody to find a job for them. Will that model work for design community?
No, I see that is okay for a factory labor. We are not labor, we are thinking people. Two people cannot do the same kind of job. And if they are doing the same type of job, they are labor. Then they need not have done design, right? Design is that's what I'm saying, it's a thinking superpower. Think, even if it's a small opportunity, how can you enlarge that opportunity? I'll give you another example, very good example. My first project with Bajaj. So I was invited 1992. I get a letter, that time there was no internet, no mobile phones. I get a letter saying Mr. Bajaj wants to meet you. And that time Mr. Bajaj was Rajiv Bajaj, the elder one, because he used to be on TV. He was the chairman of Air India and very, very vocal, very handsome looking elder man, right? So I was very young. I was just out of college, and I land up into the factory on that day. Thursday, factory is closed, and this very young boy in shorts and t-shirt. I say, okay. I say, he did that to me. So I said, I've come to meet Mr. Bajaj. So, Sudhir. So I said, yes, I'm Mr. Bajaj. So what? So yeah, I'm Rajiv Bajaj.
Okay, his son, right?
Who was doing his MBA in Warwick that time, and he was home on vacation and just wanted to do something for the company.
I want to know this. How do people contact you like that, from that level? Rajiv Bajaj sending you a letter and ICICI chairman sending you a letter. How does this connection happen, How? Because at that time there was no portfolio websites. There was no, at least websites for that.
So I'll tell you, with Rajiv, I think what happened is, because he was doing his masters, he was told as a part of his course to go back and work with some designer. As much as possible, designer, not a fashion designer and not an architect. It should be a designer. So he's like, we don't have such designers in India. So he, through his father's office, found out that there's a place called NID. There was only one design school that time. So I think somebody called NID to check that, is there a designer in Pune? They said, yeah, we have some young students who just started an office called Elephant Design.
Okay.
So Elephant Design had just started that time, right? So why don't you land up there? So I get a letter from him saying, Mr. Bajaj wants to meet you. See this channel, right? And we were also pioneers at that time. So I land up there, and there is this young guy. And he told me that I have a showroom. Will you design a showroom? And I'm like, I'm a graphic designer. I've never designed a showroom. That's not my job. So he said, you're a designer, so you can design a showroom. I said, let me come back. So I went and met some architect friends, Sarkar and all that, seniors. And I found out that if you design a showroom which is 2,000 square feet, in 1992, you would get 2 lakh rupees as the fees, which is not enough for me. So I got by saying, there's not enough money in this, I won't do this. So he's saying, who talked about money? So you make a project out of this. Make money. I will not say no, but do something with this. And I was traveling to Singapore that day. And in Singapore, I saw a very strange thing. I went to the east part of Singapore. I was working a project in the press. And there was a Honda showroom. Red and white. beautiful looking showroom. So since we were talking to Bajaj, I thought, let me go and see. So I went inside. They had nice red and white showroom. And then in the evening, we were having party at the Clarky area, and there's a small Honda showroom there. So I dropped in there also. And you know, it's strange, both the showrooms looked alike, as if they were like one showroom. You will not find it strange because every showroom is like that today. In India, that time it was not the case. In India, every showroom used to be different, every bank used to be different, every office used to be different. The only uniform things were army. Army का एक आदमी इधर दिखेगा, उधर दिखेगा, एक जैसा लगेगा. Other than that, no two things were same. So I quickly ran back to Rajiv saying, I will do the showroom, but I will not do one showroom. I'll do all 360 showrooms for you. I'll design a book which will tell you what is the tile, what is the color, what is the roof, what the lighting will be, what the information will be, what your people will wear, what the furniture will be. When a person walks in, should he go to the left, go to the right? So basically I was telling him, I'll do the service design, I'll do the standardization, I will do the execution plan, and I'll create the book and I'll give that book. That book you give to every dealer and every dealer will become like Honda then. So he said, yes, I've seen this in America also. Ford also does that. India, nobody does that. So all Bajaj showrooms were different. Dealers could do, you know, they could put this big logo, that big logo, and huge Pashupatinath, whatever their own dealership name. So I said, fine, let's do this. And then I said, as a sample, I will design this showroom. And in this showroom, you call everybody, all your 360 guys to come and see this showroom. And they go back with this book. I said, okay, how much will you charge? I said, I'll charge 30 lakhs. Okay, let's do it. I designed the showroom. I did 30 lakhs.
30 lakhs in 92. It's like 3 crores now, right?
Yeah, that time. 30 lakhs. I did those books. And then I learned something else. I asked Rajiv, finally, तुम्हारा एक ही showroom हुआ. Now, he said, no, these books I'm going to give it to the dealers at a cost. They sold those books to the dealers, and there was a moratorium that if you do not change your showroom to this standard in 1 year's time, you will not get the vehicles from the company. So all showrooms had to change. I became advisor to the company. So next 5 years we were doing showrooms only. That was my first project with Bajaj. I ended up getting opportunities in any area I wanted. We ended up designing a factory. We ended up designing tank of a motorcycle, 5th generation showrooms right now. I also presented then obviously the new identity we were talking about. The old identity was not standard. I standardized it, and then we said we need to do a new one. We ended up doing the new one. I launched this identity of Bajaj in Sri Fort in Delhi, because then by that time they had 2,000 dealers. So all dealers had to fit in the auditorium. And one of those dealers was a very young boy. Sorry, not a young boy, my age. Obviously, these people I've always been seeing them as very young. So he called me 4 years back, saying, Sudhir, you will not remember, but I was sitting in that crowd and I was a dealer from Nepal. That time I had one showroom, now I have 60 showrooms in Nepal. I also manufacture Pulsar in Nepal for Bajaj. So he's a manufacturer there. Mm-hmm. It's a group called Golcha, which is like, and this person is known as Ratan Tata of Nepal. So well respected. And he said, in that year when you were talking and after you Rajiv spoke, I had this in mind that one time when I can afford you, I want to work with you. So I said, that's a joke. You can always afford me, right? So now what can we do? So I told him, let's do one thing. I'm coming to Nepal tomorrow. I'll book my ticket. I'm coming tomorrow. Let's sit and discuss in Kathmandu. I landed up there. He showed me a piece of land in a place called Narayanchur. It's right in the heart of the city. There's a park. And next to that are all automobile showrooms, Chinese, Indian, Japanese, all these guys. So Enfield, TVS, Bajaj, KTM, Triumph, all these guys are there. Jeep is there and Mercedes is there. All these guys, automobile guys are there. And one plot khali. So he's saying, I want to build a museum of Pulsar here. Because Pulsar is the biggest selling bike in Nepal. And I'm saying, who will, if you bought a Pulsar already and you go to a Pulsar museum, what do you feel? You feel good. But you are not going to buy. Profit kahan se hoga? Fayda kahan se hoga? So then forget the Pulsar. Let's do a cafe. Because Nepal has a very good cafe culture. So those 2 days I spent, I learned a lot of cafes, beautiful cafes. So we designed a building which is a cafe and a bike showroom. And it's not called Bajaj, it's called Bikers Cafe. It became, we did this, we designed the building, we did the interiors, we did the business model, we got the partners along, launched in 1 year. In next 1 year, it became the hottest, the most grossing cafe of Nepal. Business wise, right? So now that guy's a friend. He's a friend, of course, right? We've done business together for a year. We've been meeting. So the other day I called him up. I was in Flame. I told you yesterday I was in Flame, and lovely campus, Flame School of Design. So I called him up. I said, I feel Nepal needs to have a school of design and an international school of design. It is not for internal consumption, not for local students. But students will come from all over the world if you get faculty from everywhere, but do a world-class architecture and all that. I said, let's do it together. So we'll probably end up working on that project. So what I'm telling you is that I'm building projects in the future. Nobody comes and gives you the project. It is like they give you a seed. See every project as a seed given to you. Then you think, you put your imagination to it and bloom it, make it big.
Very true. And actually, the first question which I was asking was, as young students, what is that, we have a lot of domains which India has good prospects on, say energy, healthcare, education, you can name it. And which is that one domain, if somebody starts focusing on, like how you focused on branding and experience. So what is that one domain that students can focus on solving problems and they can build a career out of it?
So I feel today, frankly, I feel government has money now. The government has money now. And they will spend money on civic things. So if you start solving civic problems, you can go and get help from the government. You can also go get help from CSR. A lot of money in there. I see a lot of money in there.
Civic in the sense public infrastructure,
or social issues.
Guys, any questions so far? Yeah.
You started from the graphic design, but you went with next stream to next stream without even having a burnout, I guess so. Like, I want to know, like, if you're constantly obsessing over it, do you feel tired on it?
I feel tired.
I'm generally asking you. Like, generally, everyone would get a saturation point after it. We won't even like to do it.
No, I feel no. If you're driven, if you have an objective and if you have a purpose in front of you, you will not get burnt out. You will not. Other people will think you are mad, you are obsessed, you are whatever. But you will feel normal, you will feel absolutely normal. Burnout happens when you're not interested in something and you have to do it for some other reason. Then obviously it's a burnout only, it starts with burnout. So design, luckily for me, has never been a burnout. It's a subject of passion. Also probably because I make my own projects. So the responsibility of proving that this is right is on me only. But I do good holidays also. Whenever I travel somewhere, I stay one day extra, 2 days extra to travel. So if I'm in Europe, like I'm going now for a lecture to UK, Loughborough University. 3 days I have sessions, but 1 week I'm going to be just meeting a lot of my friends and students. Oh, that's a holiday. I do that always.
So we talked about a lot about design things. So I have a question that do you ever think about design rules, which is like nowadays like a lot of people are saying
Design?
Rules.
Rules?
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people are saying that design has no rules. Some people are saying that, yeah, that's what I want to ask.
There are rules you make for every project. So if you're doing a book which has 100 pages, you want every page to look like other page. So you create something which is called a grid. You want readability to be there. So you'll test it out 9 point on 11 or 13 point or 12 point or 8 point, whatever looks good. You say, okay, for this I'll use only 8 point. Or you say, serif is looking good, non-serif is looking good. I'll decide. So you made a rule yourself that I will use this. But nothing tells you that next book can't be
Maybe
different.
instead of calling it rule, it's framework or structure you follow for every project. Maybe it's not rules. It's a framework that or constraints that you build for every project. Otherwise, you go wild and at the end of the day, it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing to have some set of structure and order to.
So the rules of layout, for example, if it's a square and if you have a dot in the center, okay, it look very boring. If you have dot near a corner, it look very nice, because there's a tension created. This still is not a rule. You can go ahead and put it in the center if you want. Nobody is going to tell you no. It's not a rule. It is just an observation that whenever you do this, it is more interesting. Whenever you have a layout, if it is a standard, simple layout, nothing is standing out, nothing is attracting your eye, it's a boring layout. But if you do a layout and then you pierce it with a pin and the font is flying here and there, and suddenly you say, wow, what is this? You are attracting attention. So those are not rules actually. I think those are tools of making things more interesting. Not really rules.
Any more questions?
Yes.
How much ego is needed to be a designer?
Okay, very good question. Lovely question. How much ego is needed? Now, I would tell you, we were talking about this in the morning also. There is one stream which is called artist, and there is another stream which is called designer, right? Each of us is an artist and a designer. When we are the designer, I believe every designer is an artist inside. Every artist is not a designer. Design is with a purpose. Okay. The moment you have purpose, you cannot have ego. Because you are serving the purpose. If you are serving a purpose and if you figure out that ye chair, if it is so high, it is more comfortable to sit than if it is this high, but I wanted it this high, I cannot put my ego and say it has to be this high when everyone's saying this is more comfortable. I will not do that. Designer will not do that. Okay. But I told you that designer has an artist and a designer, and because the tools are same. So we are egotistical as well. So sometimes we get stuck on wrong things which we know inside कि मेरे को जबरदस्ती नहीं करना चाहिए. So, but I think as you become more and more senior, you become more and more polite and humble. So if somebody's wife likes pink and I'm saying red, and actually I don't care if it is red or pink, I let them win. I rather that my client wins than me winning. What will I do with ego? When not doing the ego, I'm at least getting 10 lakh rupees. You understand? Right? So ego is, in that sense, designers don't have ego. I mean, practice this. Designers will not have ego. There will be logic. There will always be logic. If there's no logic, then there's ego. So we have times when we become egotistical. But another thing which over the years, I always tell students, if you have ego, you will not be able to learn anything. Even in our Shastras, the principle of learning is that you have to become egoless. You have to give up the ego. But when you get into the war, if you then go to Gita, you need ego to have a fight. You cannot fight if you don't have ego. If you're getting into marketing, if you're getting into competitiveness, ego is needed. I think you need a healthy mix of both. You need both. Confidence is not ego. You have to be confident. Ego will make you closed. You will not open. You will not learn. But if you have confidence, you will still learn. Yes?
Is there any questions?
So, like, since you said you learned a lot through your years, like you were since college, you would have learned a lot, PhDs and everything. I feel like the major part which even like lets you to learn all of that is more towards leaning towards self-development. You would have become more open to things. You would have want to like learn new things and everything. So, like, on the major part, self-development, right? So how do you do that? How do you practice that? Like, to come up to that mindset itself, it's a very great thing that a lot of people are not really open to or even subjected to, I would say. So how do you constantly keep growing yourself to that?
So, very frankly, for me, it was not conscious. It was just that I started traveling very early in life, very early in life. Like I got out of the college and I started traveling. मेरे को वो था that I wanted to go and see London. So I went and saw London. Whereas if I go to London, I might have to go to France, I might have to go to Italy, I traveled. Okay, I started traveling. Even now, I love traveling. What traveling tells you is that you become more curious about cultures. You want to meet, you want to know this. When I was, for example, as reading about, you go to the museum in the National History Museum in London, for example. You can spend a week in that museum, learn a lot. You come out and see. You learn a lot about their history, their culture, and all that. And I say, I don't know so much about it then, right? And I started giving lectures very early also. I was very young when I got out of the stage and presenting. And earlier, my work, of course, was useless. I mean, not useless. ICICI will not make sense in US. What do I present to those days? In Korea, if I present Bajaj, it doesn't make sense. So my work is very cultural, very rooted in India. It is not relevant to the audience outside, but I have the opportunity of going and speaking outside. So what do I speak about? I started creating presentations on India. Our culture, our history, how 5,000 years we have not invaded any country, how so many cultures are coming, how we grow, what is our food like, what is our textiles like, what is our architecture like. And then I related all that to design, right? I don't design differently. So why do we look like the way we are and why we are different than you are, all that. What are our music, what is our music like, what is our dance like, what is our society like. So I started studying a lot of other culture. And I realized that Indian culture is one of the richest cultures in the world. Thank you. I mean, it's something, it's weird, but I realized this much after I graduated and it came from outside. When I started looking at other cultures, saying, oh, wahan to aisa hai. I went to China last time. There is a museum which has beginnings of 5,000 years old places. Right? So I was telling Subhato, my professor, that I saw this. And I Chandigarh ke is a place. Go and see that. There is 10,000 years. Shit, I didn't know that. So next time I go to Chandigarh, I will go and see that. You learn so much more when you start traveling. Traveling was in a way opening to a different culture, to different kind of people. And the moment you start learning about your own culture, you get into scriptures, you get into meaning-wise, not in terms of rituals. And you really find that the biggest self-help, self-development programs we have are already there. Look, open Gita, open Ramayana. Ramayana is a Bible of how to live your daily life in your family. Okay, Gita is a full philosophy of how to go for a war or how to be in an office environment in the office. Amazing, right? And then of course, I also look at Instagram reels and all that. That also helps.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.